Sculpture has always had a very strong tradition of being very open to all mediums and techniques. So a 3D object is not where we stop.
In the field, if you go back to the 60s, when visual culture certainly was undergoing a lot of change. We had the introduction of conceptual art, for example. We had the introduction of earth art. We have performance art entering into sculpture schools. We have video for the very, very first time being deployed as a way in which artists at that time were talking about their work in terms of sculpture. In the sort of recent history, we have a huge array of manifestations of form that are qualified as sculpture. And in this context, we try and present to the student the possibilities that are inherent within that scope.
We try to approach the teaching from a conceptual point of view. In other words, people come with ideas and then we try to adapt, find materials, techniques that would be suitable for their practice, for their particular concerns. We're not material or media specific. In other words, we offer really a broad range of possibilities for students to come with their own preferences, their own aesthetics, and to nurture that rather than imposing specific materials or techniques.
So sculpture is more like an approach, and in that approach it's measured by the spatial rapport that these ideas have, because I cannot with any credibility say that a sculpture is bronze. That's only one of the many types of thinking that goes on.
We have a number of technical workshops, metal, woodworking, and we also have very extensive mold making facility, which simply means making impressions, three-dimensional impressions of an object and then refabricating it in another material.
The technicians here are excellent. You go in with a plan, a draft of an idea, and they let you know about all of the options, all of the obstacles, all of the things that could occur, all of the things you could do with it. And from then on, you go through planning stages with them and process.
Materials are developed in industry. Traditionally, sculpture was limited to a few materials, maybe wood carving, stone carving, etc. But now with plastics and the kind of synthetic materials, the scope of engagement on a material level is extremely broad, and it's developed very, very quickly from year to year. So that's a real challenge, but I think that's also kind of really interesting part about it.
Technology has affected us a lot. We're offering a course now, robotics, which is cross-listed with IMCO, as one avenue and direction in which mechanics and animation is being explored. The other direction, on the more virtual front, we've opened up a course on digital sculpture, which is to look at the 3D software applications for modeling and various things like that, but with an emphasis on returning that into the real world. In other words, dealing with real material.
I was encouraged to work with materials, to work with the technicians, to sort of trust that my ideas had value, had merit. You know, it wasn't just a recreation of the wheel.
We have to situate meaningfully for students a place and an orientation where they can develop their own thinking. So we don't explore sculpture through technique, and we don't explore it through the dogma of a particular idea. We understand that there is a type of a plurality which addresses diversity. If we can handle the material and the formal diversity, then we can handle the more important type of diversity that occurs through the real manifestations of gender, race, and other types of issues that people bring forward in their thinking.
I was encouraged not to limit myself. I was encouraged not to think of myself as one kind of artist. The sculpture program is a marvelous kind of thing, because the way the teachers run it, it's really to sort of construct that kind of community, but in a very hands-off kind of way. The way that they encourage students to talk, the questions that they ask of you, why you're doing something, why those materials, why that idea, and it snowballs into something very, very enjoyable and very stimulating.